28 degrees Celsius here in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily. I'm Maupe Ogun Yusuf.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Good morning and welcome to the program this morning. Now, there are a number of things that, would interest us. First of all, today is the 9th day in the month of December and it's exactly 9 o'clock here on Channels Television. You may also want to find it interesting that it's 27 degrees in Lagos at this time. Interestingly, Maupe, it's also 27 degrees in Adamawa State, where that report has been made, put out there, that there were some occurrences in Anambra State, in Adamawa State, that needs to be given a bit of attention. 7 women, we understand, 7 women protesters were said to have been killed in Adamawa State. And the question is rife as to what exactly happened at a time when, we're saying that all hands need to be on deck to ensure some things go right. 7 women protesters allegedly killed, by the Nigerian army, one way or the other. We need to find out. I'm wondering whether questions aren't already being asked, even in the military hierarchy, and whether or not any statement has come from the Nigerian army or any security agency concerning that issue.
Well, Aya, that's precisely why we have to highlight this particular story, because we do know that when the Nigerian army, which Nigerians generally support, and will continue to support, does well, commendations come their way. Similarly, when we see disturbing instances like this, where the guns of the Nigerian army, which are supposed to be turned against our enemies and turned against people who are disturbing the territorial integrity of Nigeria or even its internal peace, those guns are supposed to be turned on them, not on Nigerian citizens, certainly not innocent protesters, and certainly not women and children who had been complaining initially about their late response in a particular matter. So here is what we understand transpired, and the Nigerian army is free to let us know their own side of the story. But there's been an ongoing dispute, we understand, between 2 communities, the Chobo community and the Bachama community in Adamawa State. And we understand that this Bachama community, came under severe attack. I think they had been trying to maintain the peace before now, and apparently they must have called out to the Nigerian army. Now we understand that the response from those who were supposed to have protected them came late. And so the people of the community were disappointed because it would seem that they had suffered casualties as a result of these attacks on them. Now, the women, we understand, or women of the community in general, came out to express their displeasure when the troops of the Nigerian army made their way to their community. We understand that they were unhappy with the fact that there was a late response. So they took over the highway protesting the late response of the Nigerian army, and we understand that they were there with their children and holding leaves, and that the Nigerian army, in a quest to try and disperse them, opened fire on these women. I'm just even listening to it, or even describing it, and picturing it at the same time, and it's hard to believe that the Nigerian army will look at women and children, Nigerian women and children, and open fire on them. Certainly, a lot of explaining needs to be done from the hierarchy of the Nigerian army, from the Nigerian defense authorities. They need to be hearing from them in the defense headquarters, as well as the new Minister of Defense, whom I imagine this will be a matter of priority for. And also the National Assembly, because they also have a right and a duty to speak up for the Nigerian people. This is something we certainly cannot sweep under the carpet if these allegations are true. But our crew was on the ground in Adamawa State, and we have this report.
The peace in communities in Lamo, the local government area, was disrupted on Sunday following attacks on residents. According to the residents, the violence erupted when heavily armed attackers invaded Waduku Rigangi, Tingo, and nearby settlements, displacing residents of the area. The number of deaths are yet to be ascertained. The attacks are coming less than a week after Governor Omar Fintiri convened a security meeting with the warring communities with a view to brokering peace. The state government subsequently imposed a 24-hour curfew in the area. Security operatives were deployed to the area to maintain law and order. However, they met a resistance from protesting women who are demanding a long-term solution to the attacks. According to the residents, the women blocked the highway, refusing to grant the military access to the community.
Soldiers came in a bit late, and so the women in the community, the women of Lamude, came out to protest the fact that the soldiers were always coming late, and it also appeared to them from their analysis that the soldiers took some.
Both the injured and the remains of those dead were taken to the Newman General Hospital. Those injured are already receiving medical attention. The residents narrate what transpired.
It's just a pity that if it is a rule of engagement, you will have seen these people with arms and you did not see them with arms. Why opening fire? So these are the issues. So they kill about 4 instantly, and there are a lot of people that are over 20 that are injured presently.
We are demonstrating that they will not enter, they will not enter. Then they went the way people that will come from the Gengi, then they start shooting women. All the women that they shooting falling down. The cry starts everywhere about. People are crying, the women are crying, children are crying, because there are so many. There is children among us. Women, men are aside, they do not come close to women. When they see that women are falling, then the soldier will run away.
The Adamawa State Command confirmed the deaths. However, the spokesperson of the command, Mr. Suleiman Yahya Nguji, who spoke to our correspondent on phone, did not confirm those behind the shooting, explaining that the investigation is ongoing to establish who is responsible for the attacks.
Well, we certainly await a response, because certainly, as we did highlight earlier, this cannot be swept under the carpet. We also imagine that the governor of the state, Governor Omar Fintiri, will also be setting up a body to investigate what truly transpired in that particular community. Ayo, quite a number of things have transpired in the last 24 hours. And on the one hand, we had this disturbing news. On the other hand, there was some news to share, even though, well, I cannot say that our celebration is complete just yet. Let's just say that if the celebration is supposed to be at 100%, it's currently at about 40%, because we understand that about 40% or perhaps less of the children who were kidnapped and abducted in Niger State, in the school in Niger State, St. Mary's Catholic Primary School, have now been released. 100 of them were officially handed over to the governor of Niger State yesterday. But there was a statement released by the Catholic community, and this morning we're being joined by the Bishop of Kontagora Diocese, Bishop Bulus Yohana, who is the Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Kontagora, and he joins us via Zoom from Niger State. Good morning, Your Lordship. Good morning. I imagine that you must have received this news with mixed feelings, because here you are, 100 of the children returned, 150 more still in the hands of their captors. But initially the statement we heard was that you had not been officially informed. Have you now been officially informed about this development?
Yes, I have been officially informed.
Okay. So, were you there at the official handover, or would there be another handover ceremony to yourself and members of the parents of the children?
Well, I was not there because they were taken to Mina, the state capital, and I live in Kontagora. So when His Excellency, the governor, called me to find out if I'm in Mina, I said no, that I'm in Kontagora. So he now said, is there somebody that will represent me so that they will hand the students to them? I said, yes, one of our priests is on his way to Mina, and I will ask him to represent me. And that is what happened.
All right. So now you have been officially informed, and you were there at the official handover of the federal government to the governor of the state. So what exactly is going to be the next step? Because I imagine that the parents of those children will be very anxious to have them back in their arms.
Yes, we thank God for the release of 100 of the students out of 265 of those who have been in captivity. And we are very grateful to God for this development. So this morning, I'm expecting them to come to Kontagora and stop over briefly to welcome them, and then they will continue to Papiri, where they were abducted, where they will be reunited with their parents.
Certainly, Bishop, I know that you have a lot on your mind, and I'm sure you're still wondering about the safety of the remaining 156. A lot of Nigerians have been talking about this debate. Were they rescued? Were they ransomed? Were they, released? What exactly is the terminology that we can use to describe this? Because, I mean, if there was some, some combat involved in the release of those children, we should be seeing all of them released. But oftentimes people will say for the people whose children are currently in harm's way, they don't really care what exactly transpired. What they want is their children safely back home. But then I'm sure that you're giving this some thought. What are some of the feedback that you've heard from members of your community?
Well, as far as I know, at the moment, the place where we have the school, the parents, they are rural dwellers. They don't, so I have not had any contact with them. Maybe when the priests, when they will be taken to where the school is located, when some of the parents will come for their children to find out if those released were part of their children. As far as I know, I've not had any contact with the parents yet, but the news have gone around that some of the students have been released, and that is good news for us. And I think that is what I want to say on that. But we are still hoping and praying that those who have not been released, that especially the 165 are still at large, because the ones that we have been abducted, they are 265. So now we have 100 released, so we are still expecting 165. And I believe that the government will do their best to see that those in captivity have been, have been set free, because we are now having a mixed feeling. On one hand, we are happy, but on another hand, we are still very sad, because we still have a very large number and that cannot be accounted for. Well,
it is very, very very worrisome. I'm trying my best not to lose the joy of the people who have been released. You say that this morning they'll be on their way back to Papiri. Is that correct?
Yes, they will leave Mina this morning to Kontagora, where I will receive them briefly, and then they will now continue to Papiri, where the school is located.
Do you have the names of those who have been released already? Have their names been compiled, etc.?
No way. As of now, I've not had the names. I've not been given the names of those who are released yet.
Okay, so it will mean that all of the parents who have been affected will be coming to the school in the hope that their children will be amongst those who have been released. Is that correct?
Yes, all of them will come, because none of them is aware whether his child is released or not. This is when they come, they could not find, and then they know that their children are yet to be freed. But we believe that it's a matter of time, all of them will be freed. So I think all of them will be there.
Well, I know that you certainly will have a job of work to keep hope alive for those parents whose children are still in the arms of their captors. But in the meantime, what would you have to do, or what support would you be seeking? Because some people will say that those children will be traumatized, and they're staying or they're choosing to remain in school might be in doubt. I mean, we do have reports, showing that in places where schools have suffered attacks, the schools are shut down, that those schools rarely ever open. And in some instances where they do, the children are reluctant to go back to school. So do you have any plans for psychosocial support for those who will be released or who have now been released from the hands of their captors?
Thank you. I think the big relief is for them to see their parents. That is the first psychological relief. And after seeing their parents, I believe that, something has happened, and I don't think they have to live on it. We were going to encourage them that they have to go back to school. And even one of the parents, when the NSA visited us, he was begging that school should not be closed, that even with this thing that has happened, the school should continue. So from one of the parents already saying, I believe that the school will continue, and we will do everything to make sure that school continues. So the trauma and all the other challenges they may be facing, I believe that their first relief, will be to see their parents to be reunited. And after some time, we'll do whatever it takes to cancel them. But as for the school running, I think that one is going to continue by the grace of God.
Your Lordship, this particular abduction happened under the heat of the controversy of the persecution of Christians. As we now speak, we understand that the delegation is here from the U.S. Congress to conduct their own investigations and their findings. They've been holding meetings with the NSA, whom you have met. Do you have any contributions from your own perspective, given what you have now seen and experienced, into this particular conversation? Well,
listening to some of those who escaped, the puppies, when the raid was taking place, what they heard them saying that let us take more so that we have more money. Now, if I go by that, I think this abduction has to do more with ransom rather than maybe any religious undertone, So sometimes it is said that it's very hard to know when a blind man is sleeping. So if somebody is carrying a particular act, until you hear from him what is his intention, you cannot conclude that this is why he's doing it. But if what the puppies were saying, those that escaped, they say, let us take more so that we have more money. So maybe the first intention there is for ransom.
What are your prayers, or will I say I cannot say what your last words are, because we certainly cannot have a last word on this matter until the last child taken has come home. But in the meantime, do you have anything you'd like to say to the government or perhaps the parents? When I say government now, both federal and state, and of course the parents and community members who are very concerned about the welfare of these children.
Yeah, first of all, we thank God that the federal government have done their best to have the 100 released, and we want to beg them to please step up more effort so that the 165 that are still at large, they will also be released so that the joy will be complete. At the moment, we are having what I may call mixed feeling. Joy, we are feeling happy that some are released, but also at the same time, we are not too happy because some parents we may not find their children yet. So we are begging and appealing to the federal government to please continue as they have started. We are very happy that something concrete is happening. And I want to believe that what they have started, they will bring it to completion. And for the parents, I will appeal for those of them who may not see their children today, because we are hoping that they will reach their destination today. So I will appealing if they have been able to wait for the last 2 weeks. And I'm sure it's a matter of time that just as they have seen other children back, their children will also be back, because the federal government were hopeful that they will do their whatever it takes to bring the rest back. So I'm appealing to them to still calm down, continue to pray. The Lord who has allowed it to happen will always bring everything to a perfect conclusion. That will be my appeal and that will be my request. Thank you.
We have to thank you for speaking with us, and we hope to speak with you again, Your Lordship, when the rest of the children are eventually back in their parents' arms. We've been speaking with His Lordship, Bishop Bulus Yohana, who is the Catholic Bishop of the Diocese of Kontagora in Niger State. Thank you once more, Your Lordship.
Thank you for having me. God bless you.
Well, we take a break now. When we come back, we'll be looking at a matter that just happened on our border. There has been a debate raging within some circles in Nigeria as to whether or not the Nigerian government should have intervened in the matter that it did in the attempted coup in Benin Republic. We'll wade into that debate when we come back from this break. Please stay with us.
Our next conversation this morning is, well, the issue that Mokwe talked about is something that is definitely on our burner, and I will get onto that as soon as our guest arrives to have the conversation with us. But right now, we'd like to have a conversation with Alhaji Tanko Yakassai, who is a politician and an elder statesman. He is a founding member, Northern Elements Progressive Union. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, sir.
You're welcome.
Let me ask you the obvious. You recently celebrated your 100th year on Earth. And how does that feel?
I feel all right. I'm grateful to my Creator, not only for creating me, but also for giving me good health, a long life. Not only that, but also for giving me good family. My children are looking after me now, and they are all alive, and their mothers are alive.
Well, we rejoice with you, and congratulations, sir. And in 100 years on Earth, you have seen quite a bit, particularly of Nigeria's history, a country that I believe in my heart that you love. And you have watched things progress from the First Republic to the Second to the Third and to the one that we have now. As a nation, and there have been times when various governments wondered how come Nigeria is still standing despite whatever challenges it was having at different times. We remember, for instance, former military president Babangida wondering, how come Nigeria is still standing? We tried everything, it didn't work, yet the country refuses to collapse. What would you say is Nigeria's greatest asset as to why it is still able to stand despite all of whatever it is that life is throwing at it as a nation?
Well, the greatest asset for Nigeria is the population of Nigeria. People who are committed to the well-being of one another, and also who are committed to the progress of the country. Nobody is talking of leaving Nigeria. Of all the almost 200 million Nigerians that we have today, everybody is committed to Nigeria. And we are working hard. Everybody is contributing his quota to keep the country going and to develop the country.
It might be a bit worrisome, sir, that it will seem while, I mean, you have a point in saying that, it's a little, there are questions as to whether or not the nation at various levels of authority prioritize the young people, the population themselves that you're talking about, but this time, more importantly, the younger people who make about more than 60% of Nigeria's population. What are your thoughts on that, on how Nigeria, both at the federal and state levels in particular, are taking on the welfare or perception or inclusion of the younger generation?
Well, given the population of Nigeria, it is humanly impossible to have all of the people, 200 million, thinking alike. Some will think this way, the others will think other way. But by and large, what I'm happy about is that all the people in Nigeria today are committed to Nigeria as a single country. There's no part of Nigeria or section of the Nigerian people who are now thinking of living in the country, of breaking away from the country. An attempt was made. Those who made the attempt later on realized that it was a foolish idea, and they gave it up. They reconciled themselves with the reality of the situation. And since then, we've been living together, both who remain in Nigeria, who wanted Nigeria to remain one, and those who wanted to leave Nigeria are now living as brothers and sisters. Nobody is thinking of leaving Nigeria, because we all realize that we are better off staying together.
But, well, that probably runs against some of the things that a good number of Nigerians are saying, that they want to leave the country. But we leave that for now and ask this question, sir. The First Republic ended with a military takeover, whatever the circumstances. The blame was on the political class, that they were self-serving. Second Republic came, and that was the same situation, same circumstance under which the people were edged out. In fact, the national chairman of the ruling party at the time was so influential, so powerful, so rich, that he bottled the wine in his own name. That was in the Second Republic. In the Third Republic, there are those who wonder whether it ever, got off the ground. But here we are in the Fourth Republic. And the same issues that ended the first and the second seem to be playing out. The political class seem to be overreaching themselves, giving little or not enough significance to the people in terms of governance, social welfare, and all of those things. Do you think we have learned anything from history? What are the similarities you have seen? And what are the differences that you have seen now that's made us survive until now? And what must we do if we're not going to go back to where we're coming from?
Well, one thing I would ask you, I hope you will answer it. Since the end of the Civil War, how many years now? I can't remember, but how many years? The end of the Civil War in Nigeria. Can you remember?
It's been a long time, sir.
Okay, now, you cannot remember, I cannot remember. But since then, to today, is there anybody who is talking of living among Nigerians, among people living in Nigeria today, who is talking of living in Nigeria anymore? Did you hear me?
Yeah, I heard you, sir.
Yes, no, it's a question I raised. I expected a reaction from you. I said, do you have anybody now who is thinking of leaving Nigeria, among Nigerians?
I guess we'll have to ask the political class, sir, and that is one of the reasons I'm asking you that question, whether or not we have learned anything, particularly in among the political class, because a good number of people will tell you that the reason we are having the issues we are having is because the political class have their rhetorics. Once in power, they are going and singing one song, but once they come into opposition, nothing good is ever from the other government. And as a result of that, the agitations continue. That for a long time, you would remember that even the IPOB, even though proscribed, are still calling for one agitation or the other. And a number of politicians seem to be rallying surreptitiously behind them. So that's why I'm asking whether or not you think we have learned any lesson, because there are questions as to whether or not the disturbing issues have been resolved.
Well, thank you very much. I'm a Muslim. I don't know whether you're a Muslim or not. But we in Islam believe that God is the creator of the universe and the human being. And it is the power of Almighty God that kept us alive and took care of our needs, daily needs. So we will continue to have people grumbling here and there, but by and large, today you don't, I don't know about you, but I don't know of anybody in Nigeria today who's thinking of leaving Nigeria as an individual or a group of Nigerians who are thinking of departing or breaking away from Nigeria like it happened before.
So you don't think that the agitation by some people in the southwest of Nigeria and the agitation of the indigenous people of Biafra is of any significance?
At the moment, I don't think it's important. I don't think it's significant because I don't think also they are serious. By the time Ojukwu and his people decided to attempt to break away, Ojukwu had a number of his fellow Igbo people who were siding him. But since the end of the Civil War, now virtually every Nigerian has realized that to stay in Nigeria is better for him than to live outside, opt out of Nigeria. To the extent that today I don't know any group of Nigerians who are yearning to opt out of the country. I think everybody is now committed to Nigeria as a single country and prepared to contribute his quota. They are contributing their quota, or we are all contributing our quota to leave this country, keep this country one, and to live in the country and do our best.
Gratifying to hear that, sir, but I'm sure you're aware of some elements in West Africa, some countries that have been taken over by military coups, as close as Niger Republic, a conversation we hope we might still have today, where some people wanted to take over the country, military officials of the government of the country wanted to take over the affairs of the government and edge out the president, but thankfully democratic order has been restored there. And there are those who are wondering whether or not it is not the problem of inadequate governance, social investment in the lives of the people, dividends of democracy, as they say, that is causing that. And there are those who are also alleging that, well, there have been such threats in the country, even in this republic in recent time, and then there are those who are wondering whether or not that could be a scare. So, particularly at the federal, at the state levels, what are the things, what are the gaps you think the governments at the federal and the state levels need to close so that the people can begin to enjoy the benefits of democracy in their personal lives?
Well, I'm an individual member of Nigeria or citizen of Nigeria. You are a media man. I'm not a media man. You are in a better position to tell me the answer of the question you directed to me. As you see me now, I'm 100 years old now. I've hardly received visitors. I remain in my house, my members of my family. I don't go out to meet people. So I don't know what people are thinking, but I believe that majority of Nigeria, virtually all Nigerians now, are happy to live in Nigeria and to stay together with their fellow Nigerian brothers and sisters and contribute their quota for the betterment of the country. This is what is happening. There was a situation where some people were discontented and they attempted to break away, and eventually they realized that breaking away was not the answer. They gave it up and they are back to the country. And since then, nobody is talking of leaving Nigeria. I'm talking of nobody among Nigerian people is thinking of leaving Nigeria anymore.
Well, I'm sure that there are a number of people. First of all, Mark, I'll be coming in to ask you a question or two as well shortly. But I'm sure that there are a number of politicians who from time to time reach out to you, sir, for counsel, for direction. Can you please confirm that if that happens, that some leaders call upon you? President Tinubu, for instance, felicitated with you when you turned 100. So I'm wondering if you can speak to the fact whether or not some of these leaders, governors, ministers, whoever, come to you from time to time for counsel. What are the kind of questions they ask you, sir?
No, they don't come to me for answers to their questions. They only come to me to respect me because of my age. Some of them were shared same political party with me, and some just came to me out of admiration because of my experience, because of my activities, particularly in politics. But nobody is coming to me about the problem of the country now.
Okay. I'm sure my colleague Markwe has questions for you as well, sir. Go ahead, Markwe.
Thank you, Ayo. Alhaji, I'd like to first of all congratulate you as well as well, on behalf of many other Nigerians, as God Almighty has been pleased to let you see 100 years. I mean, that is no mean feat. You're doing it in health of mind and body. You're still very sound. And that certainly is a great blessing indeed. Alhaji, and I imagine that, you know, you've had cause to look back over the years from when you were born, when you became politically active, and the Nigeria of our dreams, because you are just 11 years younger than this entity called Nigeria. Nigeria was amalgamated in 1914. You were born in 1925. So I imagine that in those days you must have had great hopes for the country, what this country could become. I imagine also that you also had great hopes for what Northern Nigeria could become as a founding member of the Arewa Consultative Forum. I don't know what your thoughts are with regards to what exactly is happening in the North now. The great number of children who are out of school. I don't want to use the word restiveness, but the North has been through a lot in recent times. Terrorism, banditry, and all manner of things. What are your thoughts with regards to where you think that, you know, our leaders must have lost the plot with regards to development for the people of not just of Nigeria, but also particularly of Northern Nigeria?
Well, what you are asking me about is the problem of underdevelopment. You see, we are underdeveloped. We want to get everything almost at the same time, which is not possible. We have to be patient. We have to commit ourselves to building this country into a bigger nation. But I'm grateful to God that apart from a single incident of Eastern Nigeria was attempted to break away from the country, since then to today, so many years, nobody throughout Nigeria is thinking of leaving Nigeria. No individual, not to talk of group of people or a community. So I think it's a lesson that we all have learned, that attempting to leave Nigeria, we're better off if we stay together We are really happy. Compared to other people, our greatest asset is our population and big land mass. So we are able to use our population to utilize the God-given land mass that God gave us for engaging in agriculture to grow enough food. We are not hungry. Nobody is going about hungry because we are growing enough food to feed ourselves. We don't import food. We import material maybe for clothing or so, but food we don't.
Alhaji, I'm afraid that is not the situation. Nigeria does import food, and there are people within this country who have been agitating to leave the country. There are those who say, look, this country is not working. And even if we do not have groups of people, we've been seeing a lot of our young people dissatisfied with the country and leaving in droves for greener pastures to other countries, which, as a matter of fact, we should consider very strongly as a vote of no confidence in our country. I do not know if you are aware of this development, and if you are, if they bother you.
Madam, I am in Nigeria. You are in Nigeria. Can you tell me where is this group of Nigerians who are agitating to leave the country? I don't know them. I've never heard of it. I heard it from you for the first time. To me, the last time I heard of people who were thinking of leaving Nigeria was during Biafra. After the Biafra War, I have never heard any significant group of people of Nigeria that are yearning to leave the country. Everybody is working hard to keep the country together. You know, during the reign of General Gowon, the slogan was, keep the Nigeria one. It's a task that must be done. Now, Nigeria is kept one. Everybody in Nigeria is prepared or is happy that we are living together. I've never heard of any group of people who are now agitating to leave Nigeria. Honestly, if you know, I don't. And if you can enlighten me, I'll be happy.
All right, Alhaji, we have to thank you very much. Once again, we wish you all the very best as you celebrate a centenary. That's no mean feat. How many more years? Well, even though some people will say that's not a fair question to ask, I'm not going to ask it. But yes, you've seen 100 years. Shall I say, are we looking forward to the next 50?
Well, I leave that to God. It was God that made it possible for me to live for 100 years. And He had the capacity to allow me to live for 50 or even 100 years. So I leave it to Him, because it was through His blessing that I'm able to cover 100 years now. And I would tell you that you'll be interested to know that I am a younger member of my siblings. There were 3 of us, 2 female, the youngest, and the only male. And 2 female left me, they all died, each leaving 1 single child. Now I am 100 years. I can't remember the number of the children, but I think they are over
19.
How many of you?
19.
Huh? 19. One of my children reminded me that I have 19 children alive. How many died?
3.
Huh?
4.
4 died. Put together,
You have
24, isn't it?
You have 6.
No, 23. I'm the third of the children of my parents. My parents got only 300. I mean, 3 children. Now, their child, they are gone. But I, with the special grace from Almighty God, has given me so many children, so many grandchildren, put together, I think my children, my grandchildren, were approaching 100.
Wow.
I'm grateful to.
Wow, that's a.
We are approaching 100, but we are enjoying good health. None of my children.
Thanks be to God. So, on that note, we have to congratulate you once more, sir, and continue to pray God's eternal blessings on you as you live to see another 100, if God pleases. Thank you so much for joining us, Alhaji Tanko Yakassai.
May I also pray God to share this with you, so you too should live 100 or more.
Amen.
And I'll wait for you.
Thank you so much, Alhaji. God bless you, and God continue to keep you. Thank you for speaking with us this morning.
God bless you.
Well, we take a little break now, and we'll be going to our last conversation for the day. Our guest is already with us, Mr. Bayo Olowake, who's a global affairs analyst. Will be discussing with us the attempted coup in Benin Republic. It's over now to you, Ayo.
Thank you, Mawakwe. Well, Mr. Olowake, good morning, and it's good to have you on the program this morning. So let's get right to it as quickly as we can. What are the things that you think we may have missed out on the issue, on the situation that happened in Benin Republic? On the one hand, there's been a lot of feedback, good positive feedback from some quarters, cautious feedback from others. In fact, there's been that conversation even with the French Prime Minister also, saying a thing or two about whether or not he played a role. What are the things that Nigerians need to know as to the benefits or not of Nigeria's intervention in that situation? Silake, could you kindly unmute if you are muted, sir? Please go ahead. Can you hear me, Mr. Olowake?
Good morning. I don't know if you can hear me. I can't hear the studio at all. So.
Okay. Well, we'll work on that, and I'm sure that in a second or two you're going to be able to hear us from this side. The question is around the situation that happened in Benin Republic and the feedback that is coming from various quarters all over the world. There are those who are wondering whether or not it was the right thing for Nigeria to have done. Of course, the military did a yeoman's job ensuring that, democratic order, at least assisting in ensuring that democratic order was restored to Benin Republic the way it is. But then there's also the interest of the West and Europe, so to speak, about this issue. If you can hear me, please let us know, in your opinion, what are the things that you think, the gaps you think Nigerians may have missed out in the entire conversation? Oh dear. Well, sounds like you're not hearing me. I don't know if you'll be able to hear Mawakwe, my colleague in Abuja.
From this end, let us see if we can reach you. We're just trying to get your thoughts on the coup that has happened, on the attempted coup that tried to happen in Benin Republic and Nigeria's intervention. Do you think that do you applaud our swift intervention in the country, or do you think that Nigeria should have held back? Oh dear. Mr. Olowake clearly cannot hear us, unfortunately, and we really wanted to be able to. We would have advised that he unplugs his earpiece if he could hear this conversation. I mean, that might have been able to help. But Ayo, you're no stranger to the debate that had gone on in the wake of Nigeria's intervention. There are those who think that perhaps Nigeria should have held back, even though, if you ask me, I kind of think that people's views were very interesting in the sense that on the one hand, they say they condemn any unconstitutional handover of government, and any military intervention. But on the other hand, they then are unhappy about Nigeria's intervention. And I'm wondering, how do you marry the two? Is it better to just wait and condemn something, or if you actually have the capacity to do something about it, shouldn't you do something about it? Big questions. And then you also have to wonder if they are aware of the importance of Benin Republic to Nigeria, because it is contiguous. And as I said yesterday, people oftentimes joke in the international community, Benin Republic is the 37th state, Nigeria's 37th state. I think we've even heard this from past presidents of Benin Republic as well. So clearly anything that affects them clearly directly affects us. So you have to ask whether people have put those considerations into perspective. I don't know if Mr. Oluwake can hear us now, but certainly these are some of the questions that would have been interesting if Mr. Oluwake could have given us a perspective on. Well,
I totally agree with you, Maokwe, and one of the things that I have continued to say is there are some issues that the economic bloc, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, need to address about the cohesion, in the West African region, a sub-region, because there's that argument there. There is also the argument on some quarters that what is the African Union doing or saying? And then the fact also that we haven't heard any of such issues in East Africa or Eastern Africa, not even in the Southern Africa. Why in the West and in the North? Those questions are right there in our faces. And then there is also that conversation, and I'm hoping I'll at least be able to hear a bleep from Mr. Oluwake on this matter, that look, with the involvement of the French president, because I saw an interview, for instance, where, by someone in America, interviewing the French prime minister, and it was, I've been asking him that, look, is it that Nigeria is now taking instructions from France and all those things? So questions upon questions are going to be asked about this, and I know that a number of things are going to evolve over time. But then while opinions are divided on whether or not it was the right thing for Nigeria to have intervened, at least to have even offered whatever support. Don't forget, Mark, where you read that statement where where we were told there was a note verbal that was sent to the Nigerian government, which informed their intervention in this particular matter. So there is that. And there are many other issues that are going to be arising from this. But it goes back to Nigeria's foreign positioning, foreign relations positioning, and let's see how all of that plays out over time. Hopefully we'll be able to get Mr. Oluwake into the studio one of these days to have this conversation with us. In the meantime, I guess that's where we draw the curtain on the program today. Thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of our morning and for allowing us to be a part of yours. I'm Makinde. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Well, in spite of whatever happens, we'd like to also share the blessings of Alhaji Tanko Yakassai's 100 years. Sometimes it's hard to rejoice when, there's so much happening, but we certainly hope that you've taken away those blessings as well. Thank you so much for being a part of today's program. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf. Business Morning is on top of the hour.